prolonged fasting, intermittent fasting, crescendo fasting, and now 1 meal a day fasting. What the heck are we supposed to do? Well, let's take a look at the various forms of fasting. And in this video, let's really break down the 1 meal a day OMAD diet to intermittent fasting in a 16-8 style. So what I want to do in this video is help you understand these two types of fasting and what might work better for you by looking at 3 very reputable studies. Hey, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you can see truly clinical and data-driven videos every Tuesday, Friday, and Sunday at 7 a.m. Pacific time. And if you haven't already, hit that little bell icon to turn on notifications so you know whenever I go live. All right, first and foremost, what the heck is the OMAD diet? It's something that's gaining popularity a lot recently, and what it stands for is 1 meal a day. So essentially, it is a form of intermittent fasting, just in a little bit more of an extreme sense. So in essence, what you're doing is you're fasting for 23 or 23 and a half hours, and then you're consolidating all of your calories into 1 meal per day. It sounds a little bit intense, and quite honestly, it is. Now, more commonly, a lot of us know intermittent fasting as something that's more of a 16-hour fast, 8-hour eating window. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to compare OMAD to 16-8, but I'd also like to compare it to the overall traditional 3 square meals a day, morning, midday, and dinner. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to dive into this one study that was published in the American Journal of Clinical Investigation. It was an 8-week study that took a look at 2 groups. Okay, one group consumed traditional 3 square meals, okay, morning, midday, and evening. The other group consumed 1 meal a day. And they wanted to look at overall body composition results and what actually happened after 8 weeks of eating like this. So what they did do is they had each of these subjects eat the right amount of calories to maintain their body weight. So each person ate a different amount, but it was all relative to what they weighed and what it would take to keep them weighing roughly the same. So what they found at the end of the study is that both groups stayed roughly the same weight. However, the 1 meal a day group lost on average 4.6 pounds, where the other group lost 3.1. So we're still pretty close, but the 1 meal a day group did lose a little bit more body weight. Now, both groups ended up maintaining their lean body mass the same. So there wasn't any loss in muscle, but there was a little bit of loss in fat. Now, this is all fine and dandy, and we really like the science, and we like knowing that 1 meal a day is going to allow you to burn a little bit more fat than 3 square meals, but that's really not that aggressive. That's honestly not enough to convince me to consolidate all of my eating into a 30-minute window. So let's take a look at another study that was published in the Journal of Translational Medicine, and this study took a look at more of a 16-8 fasting window versus typical breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So this study took a look at test subjects that consumed either 3 square meals a day at 8 a.m., 1 p.m., and 8 p.m. versus those that were following a 16-8 intermittent fasting strategy, eating at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and 8 p.m. And what they found at the end of the study was, again, that lean body mass stayed about the same, but on average, the fasting group had a 16% reduction in overall fat mass. So we had a major difference in the intermittent fasting group from the standard eating group when it came down to fat loss. Now compare this to the 1 meal a day study that I just talked about. Basically what I'm saying here is that the 16-8 category ended up allowing the participants to burn much more fat than those that were in the different study doing the 1 meal a day diet. Now there's a lot of different hypotheses here. We could take a look at insulin levels, we could take a look at glucose levels, we could take a look at calories in, all of that. But when it all comes down to it, we really have to look at the big picture. How sustainable is it to truly live a lifestyle where you're only eating 1 meal per day? That really might not be that fun. At least with a 16-8 strategy, you're spacing your meals out where you can still kind of enjoy the same general context of maybe a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, just shrunken down into a smaller window. But to really give ourselves a tiebreaker, we have to look at another study. This study was published in the journal Metabolism, and it was also an 8-week study with the same structure as the study that I referenced that was published in the American Journal of Clinical Investigation. So it was 8 weeks, and this one wanted to look at the difference between 1 meal a day and 3 square meals on the effect of blood glucose. Well, here's what's wild. The 1 meal a day group ended up having significantly higher levels of plasma blood glucose in a fasted state in the morning. What the heck? The fasted group had higher blood glucose? Well, let's do the math. You're taking someone that is consuming all of their calories at one point of the day. That's going to be a huge, massive spike in insulin. Of course, it's going to cause the blood glucose to go up, and it's probably going to stay elevated all the way through the next day. Whereas when we look at the blood glucose levels in the original study with the 16-8 group, their plasma blood glucose levels were nice and low, and their insulin levels were nice and low. showing that fasting still has powerful fat loss effects, but if you enlarge your eating window just a tiny bit, you can at least level off the blood glucose so you don't have a constant flood of insulin. And remember, insulin is slowing down your fat loss. The other thing that we really want to look at here is the fact that both of these instances are not realistic. You see, my opinion on fasting is that you should be intermittent fasting 3, maybe 4 times per week as a catalyst to encourage fat loss in addition to whatever diet you're doing. So for example, instead of fasting every single day, you fast a few days per week to really shock your system and keep it fresh. So if you're going to go 1 meal per day and you're going to do that every single day, you're probably going to start having some kind of hormonal cascades that are going to throw things awry in the first place. Even if you 16/8 fast every single day, you might run into the same problem later on down the line. So the general hypothesis here is that yes, the 1 meal a day diet is definitely going to get you to burn some fat, but is it sustainable? And how does it truly compare to the 16/8 where you can truly enjoy a little bit more of a lifestyle? So you have to make your own opinion here. You have to make your own educated decision on what you want to do. But either way, when we look at the diets and how they compare side by side, looking at apples to apples as much as we possibly can, even though they're not really apples to apples, we can start to understand that we have so much more at play than just thermodynamics and how many calories we consume on these kinds of diets. So as always, make sure you're keeping it locked in here on my channel. If you have ideas for future videos or you'd like to see me do more comparisons, I'm happy to do them. Just put them down in the comment section below. I'll see you in the next video.